Am I the jerk for not supporting my sibling more in their separation? My sister is seemingly going crazy. She's separated from her husband and is now demanding to move out and get her own place even though they have mortgages on the house. She also wants to go out and explore and travel the world, but they have 2 small children still in school. She's having rapid mood swings, first yelling at her husband, then 5 minutes later being fine and changing her mind saying it's no big deal. Her best friend Angela has lots of money and will be moving abroad next year with her children permanently. Is my sister worried about missing out or something? My sister Kay, a fake name, has always been a bit competitive and often wants to do what other people are doing. She also goes through phases of being fixated on a hobby and then changing her mind and moving on to something else. She is not moving on from this. She's mad at her husband, she's mad at our family, and we don't know what to do. My parents didn't give her money to buy her own place because they were worried she was making a mistake. She's now ignoring them, saying she will no longer raise the children Catholic, my mother's religion, and is not taking up their offer to babysit anymore. She shuts down and won't really talk to anyone. When her brother-in-law suggested she go to counseling or the doctor to see if there's an issue, she dug her heels in and completely refused to go. My sister and brother-in-law have been married about 7 or 8 years and mostly seemed happy. They met in the army, they did things together. Even though there were squabbles here and there, they mostly seemed happy. She said they were separating out of the blue. Now she wants to move abroad and go on holiday and take the children indefinitely. He's trying to get loans to help with the house mortgage so she can move out, but because it's not happening quickly enough, she's getting mad at him. She has also just stopped talking to anyone who might suggest she wait a bit and reassess in a couple of months. She's raging and has even said she's got to save herself. She says she's got to think about herself to survive and is using a lot of dramatic language that basically implies if we don't support her in what she's doing, she'll block us all. I feel that she's being irrational and said as much, and she was angry I wasn't being more supportive. I am trying to support her, but she's not reaching out to me at all. Plus, I have no idea what to do or say. She can't just jet off because she has young children. Then again, that hasn't stopped other people. I have talked to my brother-in-law more in the past few weeks than I have to her because it's almost radio silence. Am I the asshole for not supporting her more? I think you are not in the wrong here, but it sounds like she's having a mental health crisis. If she's having a breakdown, the most practical thing to do is support your brother-in-law and help with their kids. Keep encouraging her to see a doctor if possible. She needs professional help to get through this. Am I the jerk for calling out of work because of maggots? Don't read if afraid of bugs. I am a 20-year-old female who works as an in-home caregiver. This means I go into people's homes, take care of them, clean their house, and do their laundry. Please keep in mind that I work with the sick, injured, and elderly. I got up this morning and it was a normal day. I woke up late, so I was rushing out the door and threw my shirt on. For clarification, I put my clothes on the edge of my bed the night before. When I wake up, I can just grab them and put them on before I go out the door. I got the dogs out the door, and then I felt this weird feeling on my arm. I looked down, and my shirt was infested with maggots. Keep in mind I was in a rush, so I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary because I was trying to get everything done. I was brushing my teeth while tying my hair into a ponytail. They were everywhere. I screamed and threw my shirt off. I ran back into my room, and my bed was also covered. I was extremely confused because it was out of nowhere. There's no way. I've never had maggots, like ever. I disinfect my house fully and bleach at least once a month. I also wash my sheets every 2 weeks and swap them out with the other set I have every week. I went outside to shake off my shirt and saw my dog run up to me. I looked at my dog and he was covered. He must have found something or a nest of them. For clarification, my little brother gets up at 6 in the morning to go to work. I let the dogs out last night because they were whining and whining at 4 in the morning. To be honest, I let them out and accidentally fell back asleep. This dog in particular loves to go out and explore in the woods. Every night when he comes inside, I spray him with flea and tick spray so he doesn't get them on me or the other dogs who don't really leave the house. Back to the story, I quickly got as many off as I could but then realized I was late for work. I called my work and told them I couldn't come in because me, my dogs, and my house were completely covered in maggots. My dog got into them, got into my bed, and then got them everywhere. My client has open wounds from surgery that I have to take care of. He is very weak and can't move, meaning I have to assist him everywhere, including sitting up in his bed. I didn't know how long my dog was in my bed, so for all I knew, they could be in my hair. I quickly called work and told them I couldn't make it because of this. The woman on the phone started arguing with me, saying that it's not likely to happen and that I'm overreacting. I may be, but maggots are invasive. I called my dad to get some clarification because, again, I've never dealt with something like this before, and I really didn't want something to happen and then I'm liable. He said the exact same thing. Am I the asshole? You did nothing wrong here. If the company you work for doesn't have enough employees to cover absences, that's on them, not you. Companies that cut corners and don't provide coverage for emergencies are putting profits over the care of their clients and employees. You made the right call in not potentially infesting a patient's home, and it's important to address the issue for the safety and cleanliness of your own home. Am I the jerk for canceling a once-in-a-lifetime trip with a friend? Basically, my friend recently canceled plans we had in the works for the last 2 years to go to the Olympic Games this summer. I entered the drawing and was selected. Once I found out, we revisited this conversation and she was adamant about still going. So I purchased tickets for a couple of tournaments last spring and she Venmo'd me for her share. Around late March or April this year, we started talking about Airbnbs and flights. We agreed to get it settled in the next couple of weeks. The next time she called me about this, she told me that she did not think she could go. In the last 6 to 8 months, she has gotten Invisalign, a new car, went to California just a few days ago, and a baseball game today. She and her husband paid over $20,000 for landscaping and new flooring. She has also gotten her hair done, and her husband is covering all of their household expenses. Now, as for the reason why she says she cannot go, she has been in an illegal ordeal that is costing her $2,000 per month. She and her husband combined make over $300,000, with her making $100,000. She tells me about the legal fees and I am sympathetic. She informs me that she has enough miles to book a flight, but cannot afford anything else. She then very cavalierly says, "Or you could pay for me to go. By the way, I have a single income equivalent to hers. My rent is more than their entire mortgage, and I also help my parents financially, which she is aware of." To me, it felt incredibly degrading and entitled. I politely told her no, but that she could pay me back at a later time. We agreed to this, and she also mentioned that if her husband goes to Spain, he could pay for part of her trip and meet him there. That was until the next time she called and changed everything. This time she says she has a concert she is going to and does not think she will have enough time before the concert to go to Croatia, Greece, and Spain and make the Olympics. So now she is trying to make it seem like she is trying to fit the Olympics in, as opposed to the other way around. She said she would talk to her husband about possibly going earlier, or if he could stay later, and we find other tournaments later in August, and to send her the dates again to the tournaments we booked. I sent her the info, and it has been crickets for 3 weeks now. I was initially understanding of her situation until I found out about the Invisalign, the trip, getting her hair done, and that her husband is paying for everything, and then suggesting I pay for her trip. Then it just looked like she was being an entitled brat, exploiting everyone, and discarding plans because she found something else she would rather do. I also want to mention that she has had patterns of selfish, disrespectful behavior that I have addressed with her. Would you be angry, and am I justified in feeling angry? I have been deciding whether to end the friendship because of the manipulation, entitlement, and disrespect. I am tired of having conversations with her and addressing her bad behavior. Oh, and P.S. I am stuck trying to recoup costs because I do not know if I should go anymore either. In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here by excluding her from this trip and ending the friendship. She is whipsawing you, and it's not worth being treated this way. Even if the cost is the price of her ticket, you're still ahead. Maybe you'll meet a new friend at the Olympics. Would I be the asshole if I took my parents' bike after the other parent gave it to me? For context, my parents got divorced last year. In the divorce, my dad took minimal possessions from the house. He took a basement couch, his chair, his office desk, their mattress, one of the smaller ladders, and his personal clothes and other belongings. My mom has everything else, including chainsaws and a bunch of extra storage items. She is paying him half of what the house costs, but she could sell it for a lot more in the future than what it was recently appraised at. When they split up, they had 6 bikes. These bikes included my mom's new mountain bike, the old mountain bike that is now my dad's, my mom's road bike, a fat bike for her and my dad, and a tandem bike. My mom and dad agreed that my dad could take his fat bike and the mountain bike that was his. This left my mom with her new mountain bike, the road bike, her fat bike, and the tandem bike. Recently, my dad moved states and wanted to get rid of the mountain bike. He only wanted to take the fat bike with him. He was going to sell the mountain bike but asked me if I wanted it first, and I said yes. Coincidentally, knowing my dad was moving, my mom asked me if I could get her mountain bike back. I brought it back to my mom since I live there at the moment while I'm waiting to move into my apartment for grad school. I thought my mom wanted it back to ride, and maybe because she felt possessive or sentimental over it since she's a big biker. That was not the case. She just wanted it so she could sell it herself and take the money for it. I asked her as a courtesy if I could take the bike for school, and she told me no, saying that it's her bike and she had the right to sell it. I got upset because I told her I didn't think it was fair. The bike was Dad's and he gave it back for the purpose of me using it, not for her to sell it off. Am I the asshole for wanting this bike even though it was previously Mom's? I'm about to go $100,000 into debt for school, so something like this would be a big help. However, I might be the asshole because my mom is getting tight on money since the divorce and probably wants to sell it to help pay for bills. It is an expensive, good quality mountain bike. I don't want to ruin my relationship with my mom, so I'm thinking I should just let her have it, but I'm also upset about the shaddiness of her wanting it just to sell it rather than helping me out. I think you are not in the wrong here. That bike isn't hers anymore. It became your dad's property after the divorce. Your father then chose to give it to you, making it yours, not hers. It's pretty crappy of her to take it from you since it was a gift from your dad. Keep the bike somewhere she can't access and consider filing a police report for theft if she tries to take it again. Am I the jerk for arguing with my partner because they and the children stayed out later than planned? I will start this off by saying that when my wife, who is 30 years old, and I, a 38-year-old man, first started dating, she had 2 children, currently a 6-year-old boy and an 8-year-old boy, from previous relationships. Neither of the children's fathers were in the picture. As far as the youngest child goes, for his first 3.5 years, he did not know his biological father due to a restraining order my wife had against him. Over the past 1.5 years, the youngest child has slowly been getting to know his father when he actually shows up for visits. Although those visits were sporadic and there were weeks or months without seeing the child, usually when he did not like something my wife had to say, such as no to sleepovers after 2 visits. With our youngest child's father being back in the picture, we have to make compromises every now and then so he can try and have a relationship with his biological father. I understand that, accept it, and try to be encouraging about it, especially since I grew up not knowing my father and do not want the child to go through that. The reason my wife thinks I am an asshole is that over the weekend, she and the children went to her ex's place, which is actually his parents' place, so the youngest child could spend some time with his grandfather on his father's side of the family. His grandparents decided not to be in the child's life when the restraining order was put in place against their son. We live in a big city, and they had to drive about 45 minutes out of the city to get there. Since neither one of us drives, her ex took them. My wife asked me prior to the weekend if I would be okay with them going, and if not, they would not go. We talked and agreed they would be home no later than 9:30 p.m., meaning they would have had to leave around 8:30 p.m. The problem is they did not get back until 11:30 p.m. that night, 2 hours later than we agreed. I was starting to worry. I messaged her around 9:40 p.m., and that is how I found out they had not left yet. Am I the asshole for getting mad at her for not only coming home later than the agreed upon time, but also for not messaging me and letting me know, especially with her knowing I was already concerned with them, going out there in the first place, given his history, including the reason he had a restraining order in the first place? Everyone sucks here. Yes, she should have told you sooner, but she doesn't drive, so she was dependent on someone else leaving. Plus, it sounds like she responded when you texted, so the concern wasn't prolonged. It's fair to ask for better communication if she's going to be late, but getting mad about it seems unreasonable. Am I the jerk for baking only one flavor of cookies? My 22-year-old brother has 2 nieces from 2 different women, Anne, who is 6 years old, and Zoe, who is 8 years old. He has never married any of them. I was away for college but got a job in our hometown, so I moved back. After settling in, I offered to help babysit my nieces on Saturday mornings as my brother and the girls' mothers work. I have only been babysitting for a month. The girls are well behaved and get along. They are both animal lovers, so a lot of our activities centered around my pet rabbits and parrot. Last week, the girls were watching a program that showed them how to bake cookies. They asked me if they could. I don't have an oven, but I have a small air fryer. I had a pretty good recipe for peanut butter cookies and asked the girls if they would like to make peanut butter cookies. Anne said peanut butter was her favorite, but Zoe said she wanted oatmeal cranberry. I asked if they could compromise as it wasn't practical to prepare 2 types with the air fryer being small and the amount of time we had left before their mothers picked them up. They insisted that was the flavor they wanted. Neither has a food allergy of any kind. I looked at the time and told Zoe that since Anne and I voted for peanut butter, we would make peanut butter cookies, and she could have her flavor next time. Zoe sulked a little but was still involved in cookie making. Then they watched cartoons until their mothers came over just as the cookies were finished. I packed the cookies for the girls and they left. Zoe's mother called me a few days later and said that Zoe told her what happened and that she felt I was favoring Anne. She said the right thing to do would be to tell both girls to wait another week so I could borrow larger baking devices to make the cookies for both girls instead of telling one girl they had to wait, while watching another girl get exactly what she wanted. I thought she was entitled and didn't pay her a lot of thought. Yesterday, she told me she would have her mother babysit Zoe for the next couple of weeks. I guess she really was unhappy. I wonder if I was in the wrong. Just shake it off. She's being really unreasonable. Zoe's mom is entitled and not very nice for giving someone who has been looking after her child a hard time over something so trivial. Zoe will have to learn that she is not going to get everything she wants and that being with others means she needs to learn to compromise. Cookie flavor is such a small disappointment. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.